All right, so I'm making this video because a lot of you guys have had questions about the new MPC Key 37, and you wanted some of your questions answered before you actually bought it. And one of the #1 questions that you guys asked is, can you add an extra SSD drive to the MPC Key 37? And the answer to that is no. But don't worry about it. It's all good. Bolo! All right, before we get started, if you guys need anything for your studio, make sure you guys go ahead and click myzounds.com link in the description and get you something for your studio. They have a whole bunch of stuff on the site that requires no credit or background check, meaning all you have to do is order it, they'll ship it to you, and then you just make monthly installments on the equipment. All they just need is a credit or debit card hooked to the account so they can take the money out monthly. Now, it's not everything on the site, but it is a whole bunch of stuff on the site that you guys can go ahead and get right now with no credit or background check. So go ahead and click that zounds.com link in the video description and get you some gear today. All right, you guys know how much I rock with analog cases because they make the best cases that will protect your musical gear. However, did you guys know that they make very dope stands as well? You need to check out their XTS stands. These things are crazy. They come in 2 different sizes, and these things are made of premium steel. If you're someone like me who uses their MPC Live 2, or if you use like a Machine Plus or a Machine or like a SP404, or even like an iPad or smaller DJ gear, these stands are made for professional musicians just like you. And the good thing about it is you don't have to break the bank to get the stands. They're very inexpensive. So if you're a musician that is looking to get a professional grade stand, make sure you guys go ahead and click my analog cases link in the description and get you a stand today. Oh man, the SSD-Gate. Y'all are worried about not being able to add your SSD to this particular MPC. You will be fine. There is plenty of options for you guys to do this. So unlike other MPC units, usually when you go to the back of the unit, you will see a little slot or something back here to where you can add an extra SSD drive to the unit. And on this MPC Key 37, you cannot do that, and it has some of you guys concerned. Now, to be truthfully honest with you guys, on all of my units, I do have an extra SSD, so I can have an extra SSD. But to be totally honest with you guys, I don't even use my SSDs that I added into any one of my other units. Most of the time, I use this. I use this. Hopefully you guys can see it. Hopefully it's in focus. I use this too. And we're going to talk about this a little later on. Yeah, that's pretty much all I use. I use my micro SD card, and of course, it's inside of this little case right here. So, you know, you got to put it in here so it can work inside of the MPC. Or you can just get a regular SD card, but we'll talk about that. Now, in the back of the unit, they have a slot to where you can hook up your regular USB, or you can hook up your SD card. And I know a lot of y'all are thinking, but we really want to add our SSDs to it. But I'm gonna tell you guys right now, you ain't gotta do all that. Now, we all know that the MPC Key 37 has its own internal storage. And we all know with the system stuff on there, then some other stuff on there, you'll have a little bit left to save, like if you want to buy some of the internal instruments that you can use inside of the MPC, their VSTs, if you want to call it, you can save it directly onto that internal drive. But we also know that that takes up a lot of space sometimes, and even if you have like some splice samples and other stuff like that, you might want to save those onto an external drive. And knowing that all of the other units, you can add another SSD drive to it, you know, it kind of made sense, you know, for them to maybe have a slot in there to where you can add your own SSD. But to be truthfully honest, I don't even use my SSD drives that I installed in all the other units. Reason being is when I get done making a track, I got to somehow get that over to my computer so I can save it either on my iCloud or just save it anywhere. Because as we all know, they don't have like a Bluetooth capability where we can like send the track over via Bluetooth or nothing like that, which that would be a nice little update if, you know, they ever thought about that. But right now we don't have those capabilities, and we're kind of stuck with either routing our tracks through 1/4-inch cables into our audio interface, or we can finish all of our tracks inside the MPC, and then we can save it on to our USB or our SD card and then put them inside our computers that way. And I haven't had any issues. Well, I did have one issue. The only issue is when I was using like some of these off-brand SD cards or the mini SD cards, or using like the off-brand USB sticks. That's when I had an issue. Other than that, my personal opinion, I haven't had any issues with using my SD card or using my USB stick. None at all. I haven't noticed like any type of issues with the read and write times and nothing like that. The only issue that I did have is when I was using like a cheaper SD card and their read and write speed was a little slower. So when I put it in my computer, it would take a little while for it to transfer. But a lot of these newer SD cards and a lot of these newer USB sticks have very good read and write speeds to them. So once again, you don't have nothing to worry about. And you'll save a little bit of money in the process. Let me show you why. The micro SD card that I have in this adapter right here only cost me $29 for 256 gigs. And with this card, I get around about 190 megabytes per second read speed and 130 megabytes per second write speed. And that is way more than enough that you will need on any one of these units. But if you felt like going up a little bit more, you can actually go ahead and get something like the ScanDisk Extreme Pro that does 200 megabytes per second read speed and 140 megabytes per second write speed. I didn't think that I would need something like that because number one, the reason why you would get some of these certain types of SD cards is because you are dealing with video, like dealing with 4K and 8K type of video. So you would need something fast enough to transfer all of that stuff through. On this type of a system, you don't need that. Now, I'm not a computer guy, but I know a little bit on how this stuff works. And if I mess up, please, you guys, correct me in the comment section. I'm not one of these people over here that get upset when you guys correct me, because a lot of times I'm learning just like y'all. But, you know, I know a few things. Now, the main thing that we have to understand here is RAM. And a lot of these units, some of them we only have 4 gigs of RAM. Most of them we only have 2 gigs of RAM. And this is why it's important. When you're taking these samples off of these devices, like if you guys saved on the SD or on a USB stick, they actually save that sample into the RAM. Hence, that's why when you load up sounds inside of your MPC, during the session, you can actually eject that drive out and everything will still be there because it's loaded up in that RAM. Then when you get done with it, you can save everything back onto the SD card, and you'll save it in that little package and all that stuff like that, and it'll save all your samples and sounds. Now, these units do not have straight from disk streaming as of right now. So yeah, everything's pretty much gonna have to load the RAM unless they have straight from disk streaming to where it can bypass that. But in all these sessions right now, you load the samples up into the RAM, which they will take up your RAM doing that. But a lot of the drum samples and everything are only like a couple kilobytes. And then if you have even like a big sample, it's not going to be no more than like 50 megabytes or something like that. So you're pretty much good even with 2 gigs of RAM. You'll have way more than enough RAM unless you're like adding in so much stuff that it's crazy. But when you do that, you can go ahead, do your whole project, save it back onto the drive, and you're good. Now, what I will say is if you are going to get some of these cards, you want to make sure that you get something with at least around about like the specs I was saying, maybe like 190 megabytes per second read speed and like 140 megabytes per second write speed. That will get you in good company right there. And let me mention this as well. This USB stick. This is actually a Amazon Basics USB stick. And I took a chance on this because there were some very good reviews on this. And I actually got this stick for very cheap. But it's a 256 gig USB stick. And I only paid like 17 bucks for it. And I haven't had any issues with this, none whatsoever. And I can save all of my sessions from all of my machines on this stick. This is the exact stick that I was using on my MPC Key 61, and I use it a lot on the MPC Key 37, and everything works on it perfectly fine. Now, everything that I've showed you, I'm going to leave a link in the description to Amazon so you guys can go ahead and pick them up if you have any doubts. Last thing, I do want to say this. I know a lot of you guys want to get the fastest read and write speeds when it comes to storage and all that stuff. However, you don't have to get the fastest, you just have to get something that's efficient. What I would focus on is getting something that has a good enough read and write speed on it and something that you can have a lot of gigabytes of storage. Now, they make these scan disks all the way up to 2 and 3 terabytes. All of my stuff, I usually keep around 256 gigabytes all the way up to about 500 gigabytes. I do have a 1 terabyte micro SD, but I'm actually using that on a different machine. But with the MPCs, I only need like 256 gigs because I'm not storing that much stuff. I know you guys want a lot of space and all that stuff, but I'm not storing that much stuff on there. And I don't know, what are y'all saving on it where y'all need a whole terabyte? Y'all let me know in the comments. Y'all let me know what y'all saving. And also, you guys let me know if you actually use your extra SSD that you put in your other units, if you do have another MPC. I want to know if you guys actually use it because I barely use mine. And let me know if you guys think that they should have added that option onto this as well, so we can, see if this is something that you guys feel like it should have been added, or y'all are cool with it not being in there. But yeah, everything is all good. All you have to do is go on Amazon, find you a respectable company that makes some good SD cards or the micro SD cards or the good USB sticks. You will be totally fine, and they have options available all the way up to 1 and 2 terabytes if you guys need that, okay? So, the SSD-Gate, we're fine, okay? You guys will be okay. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Turn on those post notifications so you'll know I have another video available, and hit that like button for me if you like this type of content. Hope you guys learned something from it. And like I always say, peace out.